All right, everyone, I'm back in office. I should have had my new backgrounds ready. I got some good
Oh
ones.
yeah, yeah.
While I was on the hike through this one area, there was a hike called Disappointment Falls. And I'm gonna make a
That's the
whole.
title. No, that's the title of a business book. I'm certain of it. I'm absolutely certain of it.
You know what? Maybe we need to write a book called Disappointment Falls. Like all the times, like we thought we had hit like a great point and realized that we were just at the beginning.
Mhm.
You're like, oh man, this is going to bring in millions and millions of dollars. And then you're like, nope, that's just a stepping stone to the next thing. You're like, ah.
That's
So,
true.
anyways, yeah, Disappointment Falls. And I found a spot where somehow a tree had fallen over on this river. It's a little cute little babbling brook. And right down the middle of it, it had carved out the middle of the tree and made a trough that all the water was going down for about 20 feet and
Yeah.
spilling out of the log. And I don't know, like, did somebody put this here or did this fall like this? Because it's really cool. Like, that's not
Yeah.
disappointing. So, also, I learned that don't take a wrong turn when you're on a hike and take your
Mhm.
family on an extra 2 miles and 700 feet of elevation.
Yeah.
They get grumpy.
Oxygen deprivation, does odd things to people.
Yeah. So anyway, it was still a short hike, but anyways, I saw that, last couple weeks, Skip's been kind of keeping everybody up to date on client engagements and, all the new releases we've been having,
It's a lot.
uh, which is a lot, people. We've been heavy development. So if you have not checked out Humanize IT or even logged in the last like few weeks, if you log in, you're going to notice a lot of changes.
Yep.
Really cool stuff, really cool integrations, everything from Microsoft to Enable to now there's email integration where you can send your clients emails. So all sorts of crazy stuff. It's all kind of centered around this idea of staying engaged with your clients, which is what Skip covered last week. And we tend to in IT only talk when things are going badly.
Yep.
And we got to get out of that habit. You need to get out of that habit, but you're just too busy. You're going from squeaky wheel to squeaky wheel or thing to thing. And by the time you get back to your favorite clients, either they're like, "Oh man, I haven't talked to you in like 6 months. Here's all the things we need to do."
Let me comment a little on that. So, I talk to a lot of MSPs, and I will ask that somewhat open-ended but very directed question of what does your regular engagement with this client look like? And so many times the answer is nothing, right? They just don't have anything. And they usually don't do it across all their clients. They'll have one or two that something has come up in the past, and it's usually not a good thing, that forced and created a cadence for those customers. So that's a very real problem that we see. Now, every once in a while, I do find an MSP that does have some sort of schedule that they're working on. And if you're doing that, awesome. Just doing that one little thing, having a schedule puts you in an elite category. But what I see almost every time with those people that have a schedule is they're not sticking to it. They don't have any reporting or alerting centered around it, and they don't have any structure around it either. It's just a meeting, and they talk about whatever is, feeling important at the moment. And so it doesn't provide as much value as if we
Telling me gut feeling isn't the right way to go.
Yeah, it comes up sometimes.
It's crazy. Like, yeah, people go, "Oh, I'm doing fine. Everything's great." And then all of a sudden a customer calls you out of the blue and says, "Hey, thank you for all your service. We're switching over to my brother-in-law's best friend's son's nephews." Like some good old boy network. And I have to always remind people, you can beat the good old boy network. It's really easy to do it. You become a good old boy. I don't care your gender. If your clients and you know they're going to this cigar club every Friday night, guess what you get to do? And
Yep.
one of your employees who smokes to that cigar lounge every Friday, and I guarantee they'll love you for it. But you've gotta become the good old boy. You gotta become the person who other people go like, "Oh, yeah, let me bring you over here." And you might feel
Mhm.
kind of smarmy doing that. It's that no, this is relationship building. Meet people where they are. Play golf with them.
Mhm.
Learn to bowl. Meet your clients where they are and develop relationships because people like to do business with people that they like to do business with. I know it sounds
Yes,
crazy, and that's the
that's
key of
correct.
touch points. You come into a touch point and you send them an email, you correspond, you stop, do a drive by and swing by to see how they're doing, and you learn about these things and you hear about like, oh yeah, they always go out for a Friday afternoon activity. It's
Mhm.
part of their culture. Like, oh man, I'd love to go get a beer with you guys, or I'd love to go out for coffee on Thursday mornings. And get into that routine, or everybody likes to do this thing with these business groups. Come along, do it.
Yeah.
And then you become the good old boy. Then you become the, hey, I'm going to bring in my friends, brothers, nephews, cousins, sisters, aunts, roommates, whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
however the Spaceballs quote goes. Um, but you become that person where they want to do business with you, and they're going to introduce you to the rest of their group. This is
Right.
networking. And this
So,
works around the world. I actually took a class on this. I'll let you speak in your sec, Skip.
uh,
I took a class on this. And if you want to know the actual terms for it, it's called high context and low context relationships.
okay.
Some people prefer doing business in low context. And what that means is basically in the United States, in younger countries or younger businesses, I want you to write everything out. I want everything to be kind of I want you to spell out how we're going to do business, where we're going to do it. Whereas higher context, I'm going to come in, I'm going to shake your hand, we're going to do business together, and I'm going to assume that I want to do business with you. I want to do business with a person. And so if you go to these older cultures, the higher context, when I shake a hand with you and say we're going to do business, it means we're going to help each other. We don't need to spell out everything. We'll get a contract going. And that's fine. It's not like we're just going to do this with spit and blood. We're going to go ahead and we're going to create a contract, but we're going to do business because I know you. Whereas the United States and other low context countries, we want to spell everything out. We want it to be the lowest bid. We want to make sure everything's efficient and a relationship doesn't matter. But within your town, within your ecosystem that you're in, there are high context and low context relationships. The high context relationships are the ones you're going to lose to the good old boy network.
Yep.
Low context ones are going to ones you're going to lose to low bid.
And so that ability to do that is for some people not necessarily a native trait. All right. I'm one of those people. All right. And now, in some instances, I actually do really well at that sort of stuff, but in many others, I don't. That's a challenge for me. And I see that maybe because it's the way I feel, whether I'm right or wrong on my assumption on this, my feelings on that. I kind of connect with other team members at MSPs who are kind of in that same mindset.
Yeah.
So we've got one of our coaching clients that we're going through right now. We got a handful of project engineers. These are great guys. All right. They know their stuff. The company likes them. The customers like them. These are great guys. All right. But we're wanting to grow their skill set. And it's not another 3 or 4 letter acronym at the end of their name, right? We're looking for more high context skills. And so if you're out there and you're listening to this and you're like, no, that's the last thing I want to do is go have a beer with one of my customers, right? The only way I can do that is if I'm, 6 drinks in before we meet or something.
Yeah.
It's not that big a challenge. And oddly enough, you can structure these sort of engagements. Maybe it's not an engagement outside the office. Those are very, very valuable, but we can even get into this high context area in office or in office times sort of engagements if we come at it from their perspective. if we talk to them about the things that are important to them, all the things that we've mentioned and do mention regularly, and we leave the technical elements behind. So while I feel some team members may be more comfortable or adaptive to this process, others are more challenged. We can do that. We just need a little bit of structure. And here's the really important thing: you have people in your organization that are already doing this. Okay. There's probably not a successful business beyond 3 or 4 employees out there who doesn't have at least one person with some skills to operate in that high context sort of environment.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen. So what we can do by leveraging our team is enable those team members who are best suited to that. That's really their skill set. We can allow them to do it with more clients because we're backfilling other responsibilities with other team members with different skill sets to support that function. So it really can be a team function. We always stress this, this sort of idea of strategic client engagement, belonging, and being carried by one individual is not sustainable. It's not productive. So we want to spread this out, and this is one of the ways that we do it.
Yeah, and I'm going to give you guys good examples of visual. Like Skip went through the email persona last week. This is not what we mean by touch points, right? So there's a little tool in our product called Touchpoint Alerting that Skip loves. And it says, did you log in to this client and talk to them? Did you touch them at all? So yes, you can come in here and grab your, like, say, a weekly tech update, for instance. This is a persona I built to touch base with clients. And so this is touching them in a drip campaign. So I say, I'm going to let them know every week what's going on in our company. That is a touch point, but it's not going to help you build the relationship in the end, like going on site and just saying hi. Or, hey, did you get that email I sent on Monday? Did you notice that there was something in it that was important? Because a lot of you MSPs will send something like this, and these are great. These remind them that you're there. They remind them that you're working really hard on things and you're accomplishing a lot of things on their behalf. However, it's not the person. And you want the person. That's why the good old boy network works. That's why you get replaced with somebody who is just like, are they good at their job? Are they a good MSP? No, they just happen to know this person.
Yep.
You're good at what you do, and you show that you're good at what you do by doing things like this. The number of times I have people tell me, like, can you just automate all this stuff? I'm like, I cannot automate a human relationship.
That's it exactly. But so this can be great, to use kind of a rough term, this can be great bait to lead into that. All right. This can, one, either spark a question, or, someone wanting to just know more information about this, which can immediately be followed up with a higher contextual engagement.
Yeah.
But you can also, here's a really cool part about that scheduling. If you have a cadence of regularly scheduled meetings with your clients, you can create maybe it's the persona that you use in those engagements, or it can be one tailored for those engagements. And you can send that out maybe the day before or 2 or 3 days before that engagement as a pre-release of information. So now your clients are able to see this information and they go, oh yeah, I want to know more about that, knowing that they have a meeting with you face to face, and physical or virtual, they have a meeting with you coming up in 2 days. Right. So those email digests become a great activity to pair with your other regularly scheduled activities, and can drastically, increase those. That way they're not showing up blank going, what's this about? You've given them time to think about it, and now you have more productive engagements.
Yeah. And it's all about just repeat. I think I've heard between 4 and 12 are the number of times you need to touch a client before they kind of start going, oh yeah, I need to do it. Think about watching the Facebook commercials. Think about watching Facebook ads. How many, when did you see an ad? You're like, whatever. And then after about 2 months, you're like, you know what? That's kind of making me think about this. And that's what Touchpoint is. And then having these relationship building opportunities come off of those. Let them feed your relationship building opportunities. And I often refer to like watching a movie with your significant other, not a big relationship building activity. You know what it is? Quoting and talking about that movie afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Building opportunities to talk about things. So, like, for instance, sending out an email is great, but then talking about that email later on, like having a touch point, like log into the client and say, hey, look, did you notice that you had a couple expired Microsoft licenses? Do you want us to go ahead and fix those for you? Now you've got something to talk about. You got like, oh, did you see that email last Monday? Was there any concerns there? And when you watched a movie with somebody, hey, what'd you like about that movie? I thought that one part with the dog was really weird. Like now you have context to work within, and then you're building that relationship off that context. And so that's what we want you to do with touch point alerting. And that's what we want to do with points in general. Is like, it could be something as simple as a wave. It could be a shared experience, as long as it's something you can discuss later.
So there's a really small group of people out there that I'm going to prove this point to right now. Right as you're listening to this. So my wife and I were driving the other day, and a squirrel had gotten hit by a car, and there was a buzzard, or maybe a couple of them out there working on the carcass. And, it was, not a pleasant sight, so to speak. And my wife mentioned something about it, and I looked at it and I went, well, even the buzzard's got to eat. All right. Now, Adam's not one of them. There's a very, very few group of people out there that just got my obscure movie reference. All right. If you get that, all right, here's classic YouTube sort of thing. If you got that, please put it in the comments. All right. Let everybody else know if you got it. All right? But for those of you who did, in that one little instance, we made a connection. All right. You looked at me slightly different. There was a different connection between us, even so trivial and, so kind of random. But if you engage with a few more of those, and they don't have to be obscure, stupid movie points, right? It's just other connections. Oh, that they kind of feel that same way as I do about this topic, or they kind of communicate things in the way that I really understand, even when we're talking about non-technical things, right? Those sort of connections, those higher context, make stronger relationships. So
yeah. And
I want any old Western fans out there that remember that one. I'd love to, see if I'm, I don't know, maybe I'm the only one. I don't know. There's got to be more.
I feel like I know it. I watch too many movies, so I'll figure it out later. Yeah. But yeah, the shared experiences is kind of like what you're getting at there. Like, I mentioned things about, like Star Wars, or I mentioned my board game fandom, like all those things. And, every once in a while somebody gets it. And, I've also got my redneck hat I put on, like, and Adam got a deer. Yes, he can. What's my favorite tool of choice? A hatchet and a good sturdy knife. Like you have these weird little things that all of a sudden a bunch of people relate to. And whether it's a movie quote or something like that. But if you never touch points with your clients, if you never kind of like create these little moments with your clients, then you lose that context. Suddenly you're unrelatable. You're just a vendor.
You're just an invoice.
You're just an invoice. And you know what? I'd rather give this money to somebody I care about and somebody that I have a relationship, somebody that I can swap stories with, than this faceless invoice that I send out every day.
Yep.
So use things like the dispatch email to create context, and then follow it up with a phone call once a month saying, hey, how are things going? Have you been getting those dispatch emails? Do you really like those? Any concerns there? Hey, how we go get a cup of coffee? Do you guys want to go out for a Friday afternoon activity or something? Like, meet your clients where they are. And when you stop by their workplace, listen for those little context clues. Don't constantly invite yourself places, but know that there are these things that your client does. Maybe they do lunch on Wednesdays. Maybe you want to provide lunch on Wednesday sometime. Different little things like that endear your client to you. Paying, $150 for a buffet lunch from the local burrito place, man,
Yeah.
that can net you a $10,000 MRR deal. You
Yep.
just gotta look and see what the context and what the culture is of your client, so you can feed into it, and so you can be the good old boy network. You can
There you go.
be this person they want to bring in. Hey, did you know that if you do business with these guys, they bring you lunch once a month? They pay for lunch for your company once a month. And you as a vendor are going, okay, that's 15 employees there, or it's 20 employees there at $5 a person, like
Wow.
you're doing the math in your head. And you're like, I'll take that for a $15,000 contract. This is how the world works. $500 a month to get a $15,000 contract, do it. But that is relationship building. That's a touch point. Use it to your advantage. All right, everyone. I really like touch points. I really like this email digest we have. It does not replace a human relationship, but dang, does it fuel them? Does it give you
Yes.
context? Does it keep them in touch with you? You just got to launch off of that and use it to add context.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks for coming in. We're gonna start talking about risk analysis and security and how it works. I'm sure Skip would be happy to talk about his new CIS report
Yep. We have the
that
CIS
he
readiness.
worked really hard on, as well as he didn't do much with risk 3.0, but we do have a lot of context to add there as well. So we'll probably see you next week and talk about CIS, to how risk analysis helps empower your projects.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, everyone. We'll see you next week.
See ya.